Everybody, so I am doing a follow-up video to the video about the ranged versus melee matchup in top lane and how to snowball it in your favor. So this game I am playing melee versus ranged, and I'm going to talk about the flip side of that. Now I am playing Irelia, who is by far my favorite top laner. She, to me, is the most fun. There's a lot of ways you can outplay people, and she's not really played that often, so she's never banned. You can play her whenever you want. She does fairly well in almost every matchup except for
Minions has spawned.
That one is just a bitch. So the reason I picked her into this, I knew it was going to be Kayle top, and there's two main things that I know. I know that playing melee versus ranged, I need a gap closer, and I know that if the gap closer can be used multiple times, then I will be in a much better position after the early levels. So what you'll see me do here is I kind of cheat a little bit, and I sit in the bush there, and I waited. And I waited for the lane to push a little bit so that I could go ahead and just take a free CS there with my Q and then walk away. The flip side of that is that I also wanted Kayle to turn her E on. Her E does two things, and that's one, pushes the lane, and two, it tells me that there's a small period of time, about level 1, I believe it's about 5 seconds, that she cannot attack me with her range. Now, I messed up here, and I missed that Q, and that screwed me for the rest of this particular wave under tower. That was a one-time mistake. I got pretty much the rest of them when she pushed into the tower, which is what I wanted her to do. I want her E to be on, and I want her to push this wave. So while I'm losing, you know, one CS here, one melee creep, I know now that she can't use her E to harass me from range, so I went in and got those 2 CS per beat. So that's how you got to get through the early levels. You have to let them push the wave, take what you can, and just wait for level. Because level comes with experience. Now you'll note that she is 5 CS up. So I'm really not that far down, it's not a big deal. Udyr came in to gank. I ended up telling him to wait, because I want to try and get level 4 or 5 before he ganks. I don't want him to gank post 6 because she will just ult and negate any additional damage for a couple seconds. So I told him to wait, he does, and eventually he'll come back and we'll take care of the game. For now though, I'm going to skip ahead because really all I'm doing is I'm playing passive, I'm taking the CS I can get, and I'm letting her push the wave. So let her push the wave, I'll farm under tower. I'm more than happy to farm under tower because Irelia is very, very good at it. She's missing a few CS, doing her thing, and then the gank comes in. Nice flash E from Udyr. You'll see she almost gets away, but has turned back around because Rengar decided he still wants to go ham. We end up picking up a double kill for Udyr. I died to a turret shot because I just... It was right there. I should have stepped out further. I was going to try and sustain off the cannon creep with my W on, but I was still in turret range and therefore died. Udyr could have pushed this wave and it would have helped a lot because the wave ends up freezing here almost because LeBlanc will take out this back wave of creeps and well, not take it out but weaken it. And Kayle's going to end up getting most of this wave here. It's kind of unfortunate she's going to hit 6 first because this LeBlanc did that, but that's out of my control. So I'm going to skip ahead now. I walked away from that with 2 assists. So I had about 1,000 gold when I backed. So itemization, I want to note that I started with double Dorans for two reasons. It gives me survivability because it's got the additional health. It gives me attack damage, so I can farm better under turret, and it gives me 10 health per hit, so it gives me sustain. And that's big. In this matchup, I need the sustain, because she's going to try and harass me, and every once in a while she's going to get some of it through. And I just need to be able to, you know, sustain it off. So, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take a little bit of CS I can here. It's a big wave, so she can't really fight me in it. So I wasn't too worried about stepping up. So, I go down and I ward, and it's important to note that this ward spot is great for top lane. So if you're low elo and you're watching this, if you're purple side top lane, this gives you vision into the blue entrance. This gives you vision down towards the barren part of the river. That's a lot of heads up if someone's going to come and gank you, and that can really save you a lot. Deep wards like that, if you can afford it, because I'm going to lose, you know, this CS here, or this experience rather, to get that ward. Now I would determine that's worth it, but if, you know, they're pushing it back to you, then you don't want to go that far. So you just have to use your judgment. Now, I make a mistake here. I want her to start pushing. I don't want it frozen here, because if it's frozen here, in order for me to step up and try and get CS, she gets pretty easy harassed and can chase me back to turret. So what I'm going to try and do, I'm going to try and Q to the minion here to force her to turn her E on. So when I'm walking away, she can either chase me and lose the experience, or she basically just turns her E on and pushes the wave like I want her to. I unfortunately mistimed, so I thought these minions were going to step up, because the other one had before. I thought this would step up as I came in, and it did not. So I go in, I take a turret shot, I take a second turret shot, because I had to go around the minions, and she Qs and Es. Now, like I said before, she can do that and lose a lot of this, which is what's going to end up happening. I will live because I popped the pot. She doesn't have the damage, she doesn't have ignite, so it works out in my favor there. She loses a little bit of CS there. She does get that experience. I was originally going to back, and I decided not to because I realized I have double Dorrance for sustain and I have my pots running, so I will actually be okay. So I let her push it in. I just take the farm on the turret because it's very easy to. It's particularly easy because I got the double Dorrance. So she's going to harass a little bit. I'm going to let her in this case because, again, I know that there's a period where she will not be able to use her E to harass me once it wears out. And that's this period here. She can't turn it back on yet. So I took that opportunity to go throw a ward down. Now, this part's a little boring. It's just farming under tower, trying to get as much CS as I can. And in this case, I actually got all the CS, which is very, very good. The more CS you get in this case, the better, because your itemization will help you a lot. Now, same thing. She's going to push it in. I'm going to take the CS. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. So things start getting interesting now. She goes and disappears for a minute. I ping it. I want to take note. I made the decision to push the tower, and I told them in chat. I said Kayle's coming. I pinged it. I did everything I could. Udyr just kept chasing, and he ended up paying for it. But this actually will get me a CS lead, and on top of that, it will get me an experience lead, which are both very important. So now, this is just a split moment decision. I couldn't tell you what made me think of it. Kayle has teleport. I baited her teleport by going in and hitting the tower, because now I know that Dragon, if they decide to do it, she can't teleport down there to contest it. So I couldn't tell you what made me think of that. I just did it and it worked out. Now, the next part here, we're going to start talking about the actual trades, because this is where I say at level 7, because Irelia has a power spike at 4, 7, and 9. The power spikes come because of her true damage on her W. They just outclass other abilities. So her Q is a one-time ability, and it gets more damage, but it's one time, whereas my W is an extra 15 true damage per level per auto attack. So it stacks up pretty nice. So we're going to go through, and I'm going to show you the trade here. I'm going to Q, she's going to come in. And I'm just going to back that up a little bit here. So I'm going to slow it down. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the CS here, and I'm going to Q to this one. And I was hoping she would step up like this. She's trying to hit the back line. So I E her for the stun, and I turn my W on, now I'm auto attacking. Q, auto attack. And you look at the difference in damage, right? Because she auto attacked the back line, and her E came off shortly thereafter. So I won that trade pretty good. With the wave pushing towards me, it's even better because now she lost a lot of health, but she can't just farm under turret and, you know, W herself back up to a more reasonable health level. So I'm gonna take that trade any day. Here I didn't go as aggro because I'm trying to wait for Udyr. Udyr told me he wants to come gank, so I'm gonna bait this back into a position where these minions are outside of my tower. Now my mistake, I queued the wrong minion, but she still stepped up too far, and the E allowed me to stun her. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to put down damage. I don't mind using my ult for easy damage like that because it's a very short cooldown. That's just something specific to Irelia, which may not apply if you're playing others. Now, same thing here. I'm going to Q to the minion, and I'm going to E her. Because I know that I get the Q reset, and she was just using her E to farm, so it's going to be down in a second, and there's going to be a period where she can't use her range. So I'm going to abuse that, I'm going to E, I'm going to stun her, and I'm going to take her ultimate. Now, I'm getting the pings from the missing LeBlanc. Udyr was nice enough to actually let me know in chat. I stunned her on the tower. That's just bad communication on their part, and walked away scot-free. Now, I decided to stay because I want to bait this. I know that Kayle has no mana, so can't do much of anything, and will die very fast. I know that one Q auto attack with my W on would kill that LeBlanc. They were smart and backed off. I was ready to go. So I'm just going to take this farm, I'm going to push it a little bit, and start looking towards the next part of the slam phase.
Blue team has slain the dragon.
So, gonna skip ahead. We unfortunately lost that dragon. Nothing to be done there. Come back into lane. I'm gonna pick up all this CS. I'm gonna get, if I remember right, almost every single one. Because I played it slow and I took my time. So, yeah, you'll see I got every single one. And that's big. You gotta make sure you can farm under tower in these matchups because it's very important to be able to do so. Again, this part's not going to be interesting. I'm just farming on the tower. That could be a whole lesson in of itself. But as you can see, she's pushing with her E. Now I'm going to back it up just a little bit and walk you through this next step. For any aspiring Irelia players, I learned this from the Irelia Carries Use video. Now, she... whatever wants to play. She pushes me to the tower and I get the CS. Now right here, what you're going to see is she is going to turn her E on and start farming. And every time she turns her E on, I count it because I know it's 10 seconds that it lasts. And I want to try and catch her towards the tail end of it to negate as much of her E as possible. So what I am going to do is I'm going to wait, and I'm going to use my ult to thin this back line. And I put 2 shots of ult. Okay? Now, if you take a look, you see these are queuable for me. If I queue these, I get the reset. So I'm looking to go to this one right here to get behind her. And that's exactly what I did. Q, and I'm going to slow this down. Ult, or E rather, and then turn my W on and just start going ham. Now, she's trying to fight me here, and I think she thought her E was on, and I don't know what was happening there, but flat 5 for you, right? Now, I probably here should have taken the trade because I got her ult already and backed off and got